Hey everybody, Bridget Lynn Dolgoff, Conscious of Economics and Urban Farm Project. Anyway, I have been trying to get a lot of stuff kind of out of my way and off of my plate, and I hit a wall of just extreme exhaustion. And I just kind of, I think I've been exhausted since July, since when I retired my underground media shows and everything else and guest appearances, and really slacked off. And I've really just, I'm really want to just focus in on biodynamics and seeds and plants, herbs and processes of plants, medicines, that come from a mental, emotional, physical, and kind of spiritual place. And a lot of it has been energetic. More than ever, I'm using acupuncture land needles, so I'm not trespassing in my own space in order to change things. If you go back and you look at the acupuncture stuff I did last spring on my channel here, all this weather, I'm not saying that I created all this weather, but this is the exact kind of weather that was my intention when I did the acupuncture land set last spring. And it was about filling up all of the lakes and the rivers and waterways across the whole West Coast. That's exactly what we got this winter. So, I'm trying to get all this other junk and just, mind theater and drama and all this other stuff and people kind of away from me so that I can actually focus in on, what I really want to focus in on. So this is kind of what you're looking at is kind of a project that I'm working on. Now, I've been in this 2-year curriculum with an Italian man, and the classes are translated. And then it's like a really higher level of Rudolf Steiner and his agricultural processes and his lessons. This man is just so unbelievably, you just can't even begin how brilliant he is. So anyway, the conclusion of where we're at ends in May. And I think with this kind of work, you have to explore it yourself and make that exploration. And so I'm going to tell you, that I'm getting ready to probably today do acupuncture land process for finalizing the complete, takedown of the US dollar. I'm just tired of it. I'm just tired of waiting for it to come down. And so I decided that I would do the land acupuncture process to finalize the last blow in the energetic realms, the cosmic attachments and connections and manifestations that continue to keep the US dollar going and the banking cartels. So that's going to be later today. And, I haven't formulated the intention completely yet. But once I do, then I'll get out there and pound my land acupuncture needles in and let it work its magic. Okay, so what are you looking at? So in the process of this, 2-year program working with this amazing man, the whole kind of underlying intention is that how do we as human beings develop ourselves in a way that we can work with the plant kingdom, and that the plant kingdom develops a new plants for the new processes of the human being for the near future and the future. So it's kind of like in a nutshell. So first I have to kind of figure out, my whole process is about, it's interesting because I've been sending out a lot of proposals for a lot of different conferences, which are just being like poo-pooed. I mean, like even in herbalism and some of these other places, and what I want to do is the proposal is about, how do we as human beings regain the trust of the plant kingdom, and how do we then work together to create the new plants, or we're not creating them. We're going to allow the plants to recreate themselves and develop themselves with us helping and assisting them in a good way for the near future and the future human being. And that means like how that they would correct the earth, they would be able to correct soil, they would be, pulling down, really big information loads, and also training us, redeveloping us. So I'm going to kind of talk about these plants that I'm working with. So sometimes we have to, for me, I don't know where to start with this work. I've been out doing a lot of, my earth acupuncture stuff that I've been doing since I finished, going to school at Rudolf Steiner College for biodynamics and other stuff. And, using the preparations in some case too. I've used the silica preparation for all kinds of changing things energetic within, like neighborhoods and, environments. And when I've like tried to explain some of this stuff to some of the, biodynamic instructors, I've been met with hostility, actually. So even in the biodynamic community, they, the man that I'm studying with is taking a lot of this stuff, taking the traditional studies of Rudolf Steiner, brilliant takes on it and understanding, and then developing it into this really amazing other place where we're taking it into other place, doing diamization, lots of other kind of stuff, because it's up to us now to work in benefit of the animals and the plants and nature, so that they will, assist us in making the turn, right? Anyway, it's a lot. It's really a lot. Sometimes the lectures, that in this course that I'm taking are like so far over my head, and I consider myself pretty energetically awake, coming from like, shamanic type lineages. And what I love is what I call like shamanism, and it's way beyond like Reiki. It's way beyond a lot of these other things, because it has to do with your physical body, and then you making gestures. We could say like some, Reiki symbols would be sort of like gestures. I mean, it's probably the only thing that it comes even close, but not so much. But anyway, so, but you have to work with it. That's it. I don't really have access to a lot of biodynamic stuff. I don't have access to a lot of the preparations. I mean, I could order them, but they're coming from a place that isn't like where I'm at. And so I have to work with what I have, and I have to work on, developing it. I have to work with something. Anyway, so this is kind of like what's been going on. So over the holidays, I noticed at the grocery store, and it's been super cold here and frozen. My herbs are having a really difficult time. They're, been frozen solid basically, and whatever else. So there's nothing for me to work with outside. And I miss herbs. I miss, this time of year being able to go out and clip what I need. And just even make a simple like face steam or just a cup of tea, or just cutting some up and being able to put them on like a piece of bread, with a little butter or cheese, and, like just getting that oomph. So over the holidays, I noticed in the produce section that there were all these plants that had root masses on them, like the living lettuce, that have been packaged into plastic. I had no idea when I got them what it would be like, but I decided to save the ones that looked like they were savable. And because I thought, oh, I can put them in dirt and then, like maybe, get them up and going, easier than seed. And then it started, so these are like December, and then it kind of started with this whole other, so they were the savory herbs for, Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner, basically. And it came with a sage plant, a thyme plant, and a rosemary that were all kind of together in one root bud. So they probably were aquaponically grown, kind of a thing. So I ended up saving 3 packages of these. The rosemary, once I opened the package, warmed them up to the environment, and then put them in soil, the rosemary just couldn't deal with it. The rosemary decided that it just couldn't go forth in becoming a soil plant and or exposed to the air and also to the sunlight, which was very sad to me, because I can make anything grow. And when I can't make things grow in the right way, it makes me sad. And it made me really sad, like, to think about what we've done to plants. And that, we don't take responsibility to actually grow them in soil and actually take care of them and in a way where they can like take care of us. So what happened is that it decided to be a work project, right? It's a work project in how can I change the mind of, or change the pictures, or change the relationship with plants that were created in certain kinds of environments for certain types of things. And, the plants are just also part of, what we do with animals, the horrific things we do to animals to get them to market, to feed people. I mean, it's all the same thing. But anyway, so let me see if I can. Okay, so these 1 and 2 are from the sage from 2 packages, and then this whole thing was from 1 package. So the only thing that survived was the sage, and 1 thyme, right? There's a thyme that's in this one with this guy, and thyme is doing pretty good. But the rosemary, like I said, just really didn't want to pick up a new contract or understanding or development. It just gave up. It really gave up. So these I've been rehabilitating. They had to get used to the open air, because they were root balls and packages. They came from aquaponics, so then they have to get used to soil. And then they had to get used to actually sunlight. And that was a whole other kicker. But now that they're starting to get used to that stuff, so this is like mid-February, it took them that long to kind of make a change. And they're still kind of, having a bit rough time changing the whole relationship to everything, that they should actually have a natural relationship too. It should have been much easier than it was to change their minds. So I'm learning a lot from this, even though it seems like I'm going backwards, and then I'm trying to bring these plants forward. But I have to do that because it's like I have to deconstruct what we're doing to the plants to reconstruct a better relationship so that we can figure this out. I can figure this out. I can be the right person in the right place to help, to assist plants to create the new plants, to create the new medicines, to create the new food source for the new human being as we're moving forward, as the sun is changing us. We need to take in more food, sun food, and we need to change our relationship because we've gotten so far off track. So this is a basil, and that I picked up 3 weeks ago, and there were 3 packages that the basil looked okay in the plastic, had a root mass, was in the freezer section, and I picked up the ones that looked the best to bring them home to see if I could, again, because I also want these kinds of herbs in my house. I want to be able to eat them, take care of them, talk to them, and I keep telling. I was telling these plants, like, okay, as soon as we figure this out, as soon as it's warm, I'll plant you outside. And they got really stressed out about that. And they actually kind of took a turn for the worse, So I stopped telling them that I was going to plant them outside. I figure at some point they'll be ready for that. But like I said, I'm learning from them. I'm learning how they feel. Their programming, their set programming, and how do I change that set programming? Like, how do I work with them to change this aquaponic, being refrigerated with their root masses exposed into plastic? And that's, what they were designed for their longevity, their short lifespan. So, and how do I change that? How do I change that? Okay, so anyway. So 2 days ago, I put some of my acupuncture, my human, well, these are probably what I would use on horses. I do like to use these long ones on humans too, because they have such great large copper ends. And when they start jigging with, the ether, astral energy, they'll start bouncing. And I just love that. I love to watch them go jig. So I put them, they have copper tops on them. So 2 days ago, I put a couple of those in there so that you can kind of see those. Just to, I'm working, doing some, some energy vibing. I've got like a fly that's, probably came from, where they were developed. So still kind of killing some of those like fruit fly things. So anyway, this out of 3 basils, that's the only one that came forth, and I thought I lost them all. And then when the rest of them, dried up and died, and then, like I clipped most of it back, that was the one that just started popping up. But I had to put the basil in next to these guys, and it started getting information. And so there was one piece of a whole, root mass that decided that, yeah, it was going to move forward, and it was going to move forward with something, what we have going on here. And so I have to be careful what I tell them or what I indicate. And I'm making, gestures, which is moving energy forward, and trying different kinds of, hand energetic gestures on them, to see what they like, what they don't like, and, how they generally feel. So right now, we're jamming with the acupuncture needles that have copper on them. And, we just continue to move forward. I started giving them shungite water. So I had a whole bunch of shungite crystals, rocks from Russia, and so I started making a water. It's a desert well water from I think 200 and some odd, feet down, and it sits in the shungite, and then I water it when it needs watering. The other thing too is that I know they're kind of, I think because they were grown in aquaponics, they thrive in soil that's drier than normal. So I have to really let the soil dry out. This is one thing that I have found out, that they right now they kind of regress, or they are disturbed by being too moist. So they must be like fighting against having been flooded and drowned, which could be an oak prep, or oak bark preparation resolution, that if I had some, I could have fortified them with, but I don't have any. So but anyway, so this is where we're at, and this is what I'm working on, and this is my kind of my scientific lab project. And I'm actually pretty thrilled that they're actually even living, because man, when I took them out of the packaging and put them into soil, they immediately did not like the air. They didn't like air circulation. They absolutely did not like natural sun. And they absolutely just really had a hard time with even the soil. So anyway, so that's what's going on. That's what I've got, and this is what I'm working with. And so I'm actually thrilled that these plants are, choosing to work with me, and choosing to move forward, so that I could maybe learn more about them. So anyway, I've been thinking about teaching a plant communication class, and so I'm not really sure if people would be interested in something like that. But how I've been communicating with plants forever in my life, and these plants are a little bit of a challenge, because they come from a system that they're only developed for humans to have luxury, and not for the plant themselves to have a good life, have a good to be feeling like they're doing what they need to do, what they want to do, and that the human is assisting them in that, and then the human is actually learning from them. So anyway, that's it. I hope you're having a great day, and onward and upward. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.